The emergency room was loud that night. Machines beeping. Nurses rushing. Someone crying behind a curtain. The smell of antiseptic hung in the air like a warning. But none of that mattered the moment Marcus grabbed Maya by her hair. Right there. In the middle of the waiting room. In front of everyone. His fingers twisted into her long braids, yanking her head backward so hard that her neck snapped to the side. Maya's cry came out broken, half scream, half sob, the kind of sound that freezes a room solid. Every head turned. A little boy dropped his juice box. An old man in a wheelchair gripped the armrests, so tight his knuckles went white. And in the far corner of that waiting room, sitting quietly behind a clipboard and a cup of cold coffee, someone watched. Someone who Marcus had no idea was there. Someone whose presence in that room was about to change everything. But we'll get to that. First, let me take you back to where this all started. Because this wasn't just a random explosion of anger. This had been building for a long, long time. Like a storm that spends weeks gathering clouds before it finally tears the roof off. Maya and Marcus had been together for 2 years. To people on the outside, they looked perfect. Marcus was tall, with a wide smile and the kind of laugh that made strangers feel welcome. Maya was sharp, funny, and kind, the type of person who remembered your birthday and checked on you when you were having a bad week. Their photos together got hundreds of likes. Friends called them couple goals. But behind closed doors, things were very different. It started small, the way these things always do. Marcus would go through Maya's phone when she was in the shower. He told himself it was because he loved her too much, that he just needed to be sure. He'd check her messages, scroll through her followers on social media, ask questions like, "Who's this guy? Why is he commenting on your pictures?" Maya tried to explain. She was patient. She laughed it off at first because she loved him and she thought love meant being understanding. But the questions kept coming. Then came the rules. No going out with female friends without telling him first. No posting pictures that showed too much. No working late without sending him a photo of where she was. Once, he called her 17 times in 2 hours because she didn't pick up. She had been in a meeting with her boss. 17 times. Maya's friend saw it. Her best friend, Trish, pulled her aside one evening and said, "Girl, this man is not loving you. He's watching you." Maya didn't want to hear it. She made excuses. She said Marcus had been hurt before, that he had trust issues, that he was working on it. She believed people could change if you just love them enough. She was wrong. 3 weeks before that terrible night in the ER, something shifted. Maya got a promotion at work. A big one. Her company was sending her to a 3-day conference in another city, flights, hotel, all expenses paid. It was everything she had worked for. She came home excited, glowing, already planning what she would pack. Marcus sat at the kitchen table and listened without smiling. When she finished talking, the room was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Who else is going?" And just like that, the joy drained out of the room. He didn't congratulate her, didn't hug her. The very first thing, out of his mouth was suspicion. Maya stiffened. "My colleagues. My team. Men." She closed her eyes slowly. "Marcus. Are there men going, Maya? Yes or no?" The argument that followed lasted 4 hours. Marcus accused her of planning to cheat. He said the promotion was probably because she had been friendly with her male boss. He said things that cut deep, the kind of words that don't wash off even after the argument is over. Maya went to the conference anyway. And when she came back, Marcus had a different kind of cold. Quiet. Watching. She told Trish she was scared, not of him hitting her, but of the way he looked at her now. Like she was something he owned and something he resented at the same time. The night of the ER started because of a notification. A simple, innocent notification. A man named David, a colleague from the conference, tagged Maya in a group photo on social media. It was a picture of the whole team at dinner, 20 people laughing around a long table. Maya was on the far end, barely visible. Marcus saw it before Maya even knew it was posted. By the time she walked into the living room, his eyes were already dark. "Who is David?" Maya looked at her phone, saw the photo, felt her stomach drop. She tried to explain. Team dinner. She barely knew David. It was completely professional, but Marcus wasn't listening anymore. He was pacing. His jaw was tight. His hands kept opening and closing at his sides. And then Maya said something that she meant as truth, but Marcus heard it as a confession. She said, "You need help, Marcus. This isn't normal." The room went very still. His face changed. She saw it happen, like a light going off behind his eyes. She grabbed her keys and ran. Maya drove herself to the ER because her hands were shaking so badly she nearly ran a red light. She wasn't physically hurt, not yet, but she was having a panic attack, so severe she could hardly breathe. Her chest felt like someone was standing on it. She sat in the waiting room, arms wrapped around herself, trying to slow her breathing. She didn't know Marcus had followed her. She didn't hear him come in. The first thing she felt was her head snapping back. His hand. Her hair. The whole room was freezing. And, in the corner, that person with the clipboard slowly stood up. Who was it? The person with the clipboard stood up slowly. Not rushing. Not panicking. Just rising. The way someone stands when they have all the power in the room and they know it. Her name was Dr. Renee Carter. And she was not just any doctor. Dr. Renee Carter was the chief of emergency medicine at that hospital. 22 years of experience. The kind of woman who had seen gunshot victims, car crash survivors, and everything in between, and never once flinched. She had come to the waiting room tonight because she wanted coffee from the vending machine near the entrance. A small, human moment in the middle of a brutal shift. And now she was watching a man drag a young woman by her hair in her emergency room. She set her clipboard down on the chair beside her. She set her coffee down too. And she walked toward Marcus like she had all the time in the world. Marcus didn't even notice her coming. He was too deep in his rage, that blind, ugly place where nothing else exists except the anger and the person you're directing it at. He still had Maya's braids twisted in his fist. Maya was bent sideways, fingers clawing at his wrist, tears streaming down her face. "You want to embarrass me?" he hissed through his teeth. "You ran here? You really ran here?" "Let go," Maya gasped. "You think this is a game?" "Sir." The voice was calm. Quiet. But it landed in that waiting room like a dropped stone in still water. Marcus blinked. Looked up. Dr. Renee Carter was standing 3 feet away from him. She was a small woman, maybe 5'4", with natural gray locks pulled back neatly and reading glasses still perched on her nose. She looked like somebody's grandmother. But her eyes were something else entirely. "You are going to release her hair," Dr. Carter said. Not a suggestion. Not a question. A simple statement of what was about to happen. Right now. Marcus stared at her. For a second, something flickered across his face. Surprise. Maybe embarrassment. Then his jaw tightened again. "Mind your business, lady." A collective inhale from the waiting room. Somebody whispered. Oh no, he didn't. Dr. Carter didn't blink. "This is my business," she said quietly. "This is my hospital. And you have exactly 3 seconds before I make your night significantly worse than it already is." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. That short, disbelieving laugh men use when they can't believe someone smaller than them is standing their ground. He made a mistake right then. He tightened his grip on Maya's hair instead of letting go. Maya cried out. And Dr. Carter turned her head slightly to the left and said, without raising her voice, "Security. Code Gray." What happened next took 11 seconds. Later, Maya would count it in her memory because it felt like watching a movie switch from slow motion to fast forward. 2 security guards appeared from the corridor to the left. A nurse stepped out from behind the triage desk. And a police officer, who had been sitting with a patient near the back wall, completely invisible to Marcus this whole time, stood up and unclipped something from his belt. Marcus finally let go of Maya's hair. But it was too late for that. Much, much too late. Maya crumpled into the nearest chair, shaking. A young nurse named Becca was beside her in seconds, warm hands, soft voice, a cup of water appearing from nowhere. "I've got you," Becca kept saying. "I've got you. You're safe now." Maya couldn't stop trembling. She watched through blurry eyes as the security guards moved toward Marcus, as the police officer said something low and firm, as Marcus, big, loud, terrifying Marcus, suddenly looked very small. He was saying something, trying to explain. His hands were up now, palms out, the anger replaced by something that looked almost like fear. Good, Maya thought. Let him be scared for once. Dr. Carter walked over to Maya and crouched down to her level. Up close, her eyes were warm, still sharp, but warm. Can you tell me your name, sweetheart? Maya, she whispered.
Maya.
I'm Dr. Carter. You came in for a panic attack. Maya nodded, surprised she even knew that. A nurse flagged your intake form when you arrived, Dr. Carter said simply. We were already watching out for you. Something about those words, we were already watching out for you, broke something loose inside Maya's chest. She pressed her hand over her mouth, squeezed her eyes shut. For 2 years, she had felt completely alone in this. 2 years of making excuses, shrinking herself, convincing herself it wasn't that bad. And in 20 minutes, a stranger in a hospital waiting room had done more for her than she had ever done for herself. She started to cry properly then. Deep, shaking sobs. Becca rubbed her back and didn't say a word. Sometimes silence is the kindest thing. Marcus was escorted outside. But here is the thing about Marcus, and this is the part that should make your stomach tighten just a little. He wasn't arrested.
Not yet.
The officer took his information, questioned him, and gave him a warning. A warning? Maya didn't know this yet. She was in a private room by then, being checked over, breathing slowly, returning to normal. She didn't know that 40 minutes later, Marcus was standing in the parking lot of that hospital, waiting. And she didn't know that he had called someone. Someone who was already on their way. The parking lot was quiet. That particular kind of quiet that only exists late at night, where the shadows are long, the streetlights flicker just enough to make you nervous, and every sound feels louder than it should be. Marcus stood beside his car, collar up against the cold, phone pressed to his ear. He was trying to look calm, but his leg was bouncing. His eyes kept moving to the hospital entrance. Just get here, he said into the phone. I need you to talk to her. She'll listen to you. A pause. Marcus, what did you do? Just come. Please. He hung up, shoved the phone in his pocket, ran both hands over his face. Inside his head, he was already rewriting the story, already turning himself into the victim. Maya had provoked him. Maya had embarrassed him. Maya had run to a public place just to make him look bad. He had simply what? Reached out to her. Grabbed her. It wasn't that serious. That's how his mind worked. Like a machine that took ugly things and polished them until they looked reasonable. He had been doing it for 2 years. And it had worked, because Maya had always been there to accept the polished version. But tonight felt different. He just didn't know how different yet. 20 minutes later, headlights swung into the parking lot. A black car parked 2 spaces from Marcus. The door opened. Out stepped a woman.
Tall.
Elegant. Wearing a long coat and heels that clicked against the asphalt like punctuation. She had Marcus's same jawline, same dark eyes, except where Marcus's eyes had been wild tonight, hers were completely, utterly still.
This was Diane.
Marcus's older sister. And the moment she saw his face, she stopped walking. Marcus Anthony Brown, she said slowly. What did you do to that girl? I didn't. I got 3 texts from people who were in that waiting room tonight, Diane said. Her voice was low and controlled, which was somehow more terrifying than if she had screamed.
3.
People sent me videos, Marcus. The air left his lungs. Videos. Did you forget that everybody has a phone? Diane stepped closer. Did you genuinely forget that? Marcus opened his mouth. Closed it again. Diane pulled out her phone and turned the screen toward him. And there it was. 15 seconds of video. Shot from across the waiting room, slightly shaky, but completely, devastatingly clear. Marcus, hand twisted in Maya's braids, her head yanked back, her face crumpled in pain. The caption someone had already written underneath it read, "This man assaulted his girlfriend in the ER waiting room tonight. If anyone knows them, please share." It already had 4,000 views. Marcus stared at the screen until Diane pulled it back. "It's spreading," she said flatly. "Fast." Inside the hospital, Maya knew nothing about the video yet. She was sitting on the edge of an exam bed in a small private room, paper sheet crinkling every time she moved, hands wrapped around a cup of herbal tea that Becca had brought her. The shaking had slowed down. Her breathing was almost normal. Almost. Dr. Carter had been in and out, checking on her between other patients, which Maya learned was not something the chief of medicine was required to do, not even close. But Dr. Carter kept appearing in the doorway anyway, asking quiet questions, making sure Maya wasn't alone. "Do you have somewhere safe to go tonight?" Dr. Carter asked on her third visit. Maya thought about her apartment. The key Marcus still had. The spare she had never taken back because she kept thinking, kept hoping, things would get better. "I don't know," Maya admitted quietly. Dr. Carter pulled a chair to the bedside and sat down. No clipboard this time. No doctor's voice. Just a woman, sitting with another woman. "Can I tell you something?" Dr. Carter said. Maya nodded. "I had Marcus once," she said simply. Maya looked up. Different name. "A long time ago. I was 26, and I thought love meant tolerating things that hurt you." Dr. Carter folded her hands in her lap. "I want you to hear this from someone who came out the other side. It does not get better on its own. It never does." The room was very quiet. "The moment you said he needs help, which you did, because the officer told me what happened, that was your truth breaking through. Hold on to that." Maya felt the tears coming again. She pressed her lips together and fought them back. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," Dr. Carter said. "That's okay. You're allowed to be scared and still move forward." Then Becca knocked and stepped into the room. Her face was carrying something. Maya could see it immediately, that careful, controlled expression nurses use when they're about to deliver information they know will land hard. "Maya," Becca said gently, "there's someone in the waiting room asking for you." Maya's blood went cold. "Marcus." "No," Becca said quickly. "No, he's not inside. It's a woman. She says she's his sister. She says," Becca paused, choosing her words carefully. "She says she's not here for him. She's here for you." Maya stared at her. Dr. Carter turned to look at Becca too, eyes narrowing slightly. "She came alone?"
Yes.
"And she's crying." The three women looked at each other in that small room. And Maya made a decision that she had no way of knowing would crack this entire situation wide open. She said, "Send her in." Diane walked into that room like a woman carrying something heavy. Not luggage. Not a bag.
Guilt.
The real kind. The kind that sits in your chest and makes it hard to breathe properly. She stepped inside, saw Maya sitting on that exam bed, braids slightly disheveled, eyes red and swollen, hands still wrapped around her teacup, and she stopped in the middle of the room. Her composure, that tall, elegant stillness she had walked in with, cracked right down the middle. "I'm so sorry," Diane said. "My brother is not sorry. He didn't mean it. Just I'm sorry." Clean and direct and real. Maya watched her carefully. Said nothing. Diane pulled the chair Dr. Carter had been sitting in and sat down without being invited. Not rudely, just like someone who knew they might not be able to stand much longer. "I've known something was wrong for a long time," Diane started, her voice low. "I saw the signs. I made excuses for him. I told myself it wasn't my business." She shook her head slowly. "And that makes me part of this." Dr. Carter was still in the room, standing near the door with her arms folded. Watching. Not interfering, just present, the way a lighthouse is present. Steady and immovable. Maya set her teacup down. "Why are you here, Diane?" "Because I saw the video." Silence. "It's everywhere, Maya. It's been shared thousands of times. People know his name, his face." Diane exhaled slowly. "And, before you hear it from someone else, I want you to know that I already called my mother. I already told her the truth. No version. No polish. The truth." Something shifted in Maya's face. "Marcus doesn't know I'm in here," Diane continued. "He thinks I'm still in the parking lot talking him down. But I needed to find you first because..." Her voice broke slightly.
She steadied it.
Because you deserve someone from his family to look you in the eye and say, what he did was wrong. It was wrong every single time. Not just tonight. Maya's jaw trembled. She had waited 2 years to hear something close to those words. 2 years of being told she was too sensitive. That she provoked him. That if she just communicated better, if she just trusted him more, if she just. And here was his sister, sitting 3 feet away, saying it was wrong. The tears came, and this time Maya didn't fight them. What happened in the next hour moved fast. While Maya and Diane sat together in that small room, talking, really talking, the kind of honest conversation that strips everything down to bone, things were unraveling in the parking lot. The video had crossed 50,000 views. Someone had tagged the local news station. A reporter showed up. And then, because the universe has a particular sense of timing, a police cruiser rolled into that parking lot. Not the same officer from earlier, a different one entirely, responding to multiple calls from people who had seen the video online and reported it. Marcus was still standing beside his car. He saw the reporter's camera first, then the police car. Then he looked at the hospital entrance, probably calculating whether he could get to Maya before anyone stopped him. He never got the chance. The officer was already walking toward him. Inside, Becca knocked on the door again. Dr. Carter? Her voice was careful. The officer from earlier is back. He'd like to speak with Maya if she's willing. Dr. Carter looked at Maya. Maya looked at Diane. Diane reached out and put her hand over Maya's. I'll stay right here, Diane said quietly.
If you want me to.
Maya looked down at Diane's hand on hers. Marcus's sister. Choosing her over her own brother. She nodded. Tell him to come in, she said. The officer's name was Officer Danny Webb. He was younger than Maya expected, maybe 30, with tired eyes and a respectful way of standing, like he was always conscious of how much space he was taking up. He explained things plainly. The video had changed the situation significantly. What had started as a warning was now a formal complaint, supported by witness statements from 11 people in that waiting room. Marcus had been detained outside. You have the right to press charges, Officer Webb said. Nobody can make that decision for you. But I want you to understand, the evidence is strong. You would not be doing this alone. Maya was quiet for a long moment. She thought about all the times she had talked herself out of this exact moment. All the mornings after bad nights when she had looked in the mirror and convinced herself to stay. All the times Trish had begged her and she had smiled and said it's fine, we're fine, he's getting better. She thought about Dr. Carter saying, it does not get better on its own. It never does. She thought about that little boy in the waiting room who had dropped his juice box. She thought about every woman who had ever sat in a room like this one and decided to stay quiet. And then Maya straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and looked Officer Webb directly in the eyes. I want to press charges, she said. Clear.
Steady.
No hesitation. The room exhaled. 3 months later, Maya stood outside a courtroom in a blue dress, Trish on one side and, surprisingly, powerfully, Diane on the other. Marcus had taken a plea deal. Mandatory counseling. A restraining order. A record.
It wasn't everything.
But it was something real. Dr. Carter had written a personal letter to the court. 11 witnesses had submitted statements. The video, viewed over 2 million times by then, had sparked a conversation that was still ongoing. Maya looked up at the sky before walking inside.
Took a deep breath.
And walked forward. That's the power of one moment witnessed by the right person in the right place. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel to support our growth. We'll see you in the next one.